Hey guys, Dark Angel here. So I'm gonna teach you a little something, or should I say, let me talk to you. So what I'm right on my screen right now is the RCW 4620 chapter, or Title 46, if you will, of the driver's license requirements here in the state of Washington. So I'm going to show you how ambiguity. I'm sorry. I'm going to show you what an ambiguity statute is. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you right here, as you can see here. So I have 4620-001 on the screen. Okay. Now, as you see right there, it says no person. Now, if you want to get all technical, and break down the words person, driver, motor vehicle, etc., we all understand that a person, okay, is a corporation. We understand that. Or a legal fiction, depending on how it's written. We all know that. We know that a driver, okay, is one who is paid to operate a motor vehicle in that of a commercial capacity. We know this. We're not getting into all the technicalities of this. I'm showing you how this law applies to everyone. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kings and queens, statutes, rules, laws, codes are not the law. We know that too. Again, I am showing you how to beat them at their own game. Educational purposes only for those of you not paying attention in the back. All you haters, traitors, trolls, and tyrants, you might want to watch this video because I am about ready to spill a gem that is going to blow your mind. For all you fast talkers out there who, you know, think that people don't pay attention, the law that you tyrants utilize is right here in the state of Washington. This law, the person may drive a motor vehicle, or no person may drive a motor vehicle upon a highway in this state without first obtaining a valid driver's license issued to Washington residents under this chapter. That would be this chapter here, chapter 46. This, officers, is a subsection, not a chapter. 46 is the chapter, officer, not not point 20.001. That is not the chapter. The chapter is 46. Now, as you saw what that said, okay, that no person shall drive a motor vehicle. Everybody, you need to look into your state statutes, okay, and you need to discern, excuse me, what statute it is that that state is trying to tell you, okay, about the license. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you out of that statute, and I am going to take it. You could take my word for this, or you can take and look up RCW Title 46 right here, this title here. You can actually look this up for yourselves, and you can read the entire chapter. I have. Okay. So under Title 46, okay, which is a pretty long chapter here. So if you read every single one of these statutes, nowhere in the statute does it mention anything about a general or standard license. It that first uh, rule that I just read to you, okay, it says driver's license issued under this chapter. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kings and queens? The only license issued under this chapter in the state of Washington is, imagine that, RCW 4625 0.08, license, contents, classifications, endorsements, and restrictions. And if you look at it very carefully, you'll notice it says the commercial driver's license. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kings and queens, tyrants, traitors, trolls, and all of you of alike, okay? And all of you alike, you have been deceived into believing that a driver's license applies to everyone, even through that of your state statutes. And that is not true. It's never been true. As you can see, there is no statute for a driver's license except for the commercial driver's license. Right there. And when you go into the chapter, into the subsection of that, it actually goes into what is to be on the face of the driver's license, physical description, person, individuals, including sex, height, weight, etc., etc., a photograph of the individual. It gives the classifications of the driver's license, all the endorsements of the driver's license. Nowhere in there does it say that this pertains to a standard license. In fact, the whole subsection of the license is nothing but commercial. So no, the driver's license did not and never did apply to the natural, everyday, living, breathing man and woman on this planet. They lied to you. They've been lying to you from the very beginning, which is why they train officers to talk fast and can keep control of a particular situation during a traffic stop, based on the fact that they don't want you to snap to the fact that if you was to actually ask them what statute does the driver's license fall under, all they can say is it falls under this chapter. Okay? They cannot actually show you the statute. But if you look in particular here in this particular instance, okay, the license fell under 4625.08, okay, 0.080. So when you go back in here to this 4620.001, there's no license listed here. It just says that no one may drive on the streets of Washington, okay? No person may drive a motor vehicle upon the highway in the state without first obtaining a valid driver's license in Washington to the Washington residents under this chapter, okay? The only license issued under this chapter is that CDL. This is where they get you right here, making you believe that because they're issuing you a ticket, a traffic ticket, okay, for driving without a license, first of all, you need to show me that license under this chapter that you're holding me responsible for. Because nowhere in this chapter is this license that you're talking about mentioned. It only mentions one license in the entire chapter. And again, I can't stress this enough. You need to go through your state's statutes and look for the main traffic statute of a driver's license. Does your state have something similar to this, where it says that no one may operate and or drive a motor vehicle? Because if you do have a statute that says that, then I'd advise you to go through your statutes and look until you get to the statute that renders that says that it's a CDL. Basically, what I just showed you here. So now, How does all that play? How does all that play out? That is what they call a statute of ambiguity. Okay, so court's rule of conduct is basically uh, the rule of lenity. Okay, that's lenity, lenity, and the rule of court is statutes that raise and can have or hold different interpretations with the possibility of the government being able to take the freedoms from a defendant. Okay, the rule of lenity is construed in that of a more intense evaluation and scrutiny. Okay, the rule of lenity also applies to all criminal proceedings. For those of you that didn't know that, so basically, what you have to do is you want to look up the word ambiguity. Ambiguity, a word or a phrase that can be interpreted in multiple ways, or when the intended meaning of a statement is unclear. It can also refer to a situation where there is uncertainty about the meaning of a word, sentence, or action. Okay. Legal Latin maxim, expressio unus este exclusio autorius, okay, translated into English means that which is expressly mentioned in a statute, motor vehicle, implies the exclusion, automobiles, of all others. Okay? The explicit mention of one thing is the exclusion of another. So, what does that mean, you say? Well, the only license mentioned in the statute is a CDL, for one. The term motor vehicle, okay, pursuant to that definition, to the state's definition of what they claim a motor vehicle is, and the statute, okay, that same motor vehicle driver's license is issued under, conflict with each other. So therefore, you have proof 100 that the term motor vehicle is in fact a commercial term pursuant to this statute. Now, like I said, I don't know what your state statutes are, but this is pursuant to that of the state of Washington. Okay. The term motor vehicle, even though the state deemed it to be something totally different than what it actually states within their own law, okay, motor vehicle has more than one interpretation. Also, when you go to the DMV, you take your car there to have it registered. At the time before registration, it is a automobile. As soon as you turn it into the DMV and get it registered, it reclassifies as a motor vehicle. Okay? The point of what I'm telling you is this: your state's so called traffic laws are ambiguous and they are not the law. So, ambiguity of a statute should be resolved in favor of the defendant. United States versus Bass, 404 U.S. 336 397, 1971. Standing law. In various ways, over the years, we have stated that when choice has to be made between two readings of what conduct Congress has made a crime, driving your motor vehicle without a license, which was obviously a right because it is substantiated and supported by hundreds of state cases all around the country. Okay? They turned it into a crime where you once could do a thing and now it is turned criminal if you do it without authority or permission. Yeah, they turned it into a crime, guys. That's why the Supreme Court made these cases. They're telling you about they cannot take a right, turn it into a crime. Can't take a right, turn it into a privilege. You got to know all this. So it is appropriate. So, meaning that it is appropriate for them to scrutinize over the statute that took a right and turned it into a crime, okay? And a word, phrase, an action, okay? So when you get pulled over on the side of the road and the officer's talking about he's going to give you a ticket for driving without a license, well, guess what? That ticket is null and void on its face based on the fact that, again, check your state statutes. There is no statute for a driver's license other than a CDL. So therefore, pursuant to the statute itself and the legal Latin maxim and the term ambiguity, okay, it doesn't exist. The explicit mention of one thing is the exclusion of another. So there's no statute in there for a standard driver's license. There's no statute in there including all, private or public. Okay? The term motor vehicle is being used to not only in a broad sense, but it is clearly being used in a commercial sense because it's the only statute that establishes the term commercial motor vehicle before the driver's license. Whoops. So that is the appropriate standard that they will use, and before we choose the harsher alternative. So meaning going back up to the top one, resolved in the favor of the defendant. So if they look at the definition of motor vehicle and clearly establish, because they will, that it has two different meanings, whoops, it can't. It can't be interpreted in many different ways. The state, the federal, and the Supreme Court have all given that definition a different meaning. And the state, by and through its own statutes, gave the same one word two different meanings. So that's why I say go through your state statutes, look for the statute that the police are using against you in writing you a unconstitutional ticket, and then you look at your statute, and if you don't see a statute in there that says anything to the effect of personal private automobiles and or standard or general license, and it has a statute attached to that particular thing, and then takes you off into the classes, class A, class B, class C, that is not a license being issued. This right here is a suggestion statute. It's suggesting and telling you that no one is allowed to do this. However, when you go into the chapter, nowhere in the entire chapter does it mention anything about a license other than the CDL. Period. The entire chapter talks about everything and everything except for this so-called general or so-called standard license. So to end that, okay, to require that Congress should have spoken in a language that is clear and definite. Let me read that whole little thing again so you guys catch that all in one breath. In various ways over the years, we have stated that when choice has to be made between two readings of what conduct Congress has made a crime, it is appropriate, before we choose the harsher alternative, to require that Congress should have spoken in language that is clear and definitive. And you can find that at Fisher versus United States, and that's Fisher, Fischer, versus United States at 529 U.S. 667 2000 case, guys. Supreme Court law of the land, guys. You always wanted to know how you beat your state. Well, that's how you beat your state, but you can actually file the ambiguity rule You can file the legal maximum that I read here through you. Okay. You can also cite those two cases in a motion to dismiss the traffic ticket. Okay. And the traffic ticket won't even be looked at again. That is guaranteed 100% facts, and it can't be disputed. So with that being said, guys, the video got a little bit too long, but that's okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this information. Again, educational purposes only. Take it for what you will. And this is the Dark Angel. Deuces.